After waiting 7 whole months for this, the NFL is back tonight. And no, I don't actually count what we had in the preseason as NFL product because it just doesn't feel like it's actually back. All the offseason drama, charades, and articles will come to fruition this week and will play out through the season. How will the newcomers do? Will any top team slide? Will any irrelevant team make a case for the playoffs? Who will be the best? Best team, best player, best defense, best offense? All questions people want to know. Today, though, I would like to answer these questions with my own answers and see how my takes progress throughout the season. First up on the agenda, I would like to talk about the best QB that is not named Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow because I kind of want to be different and I could easily just say one of those names. So I want to go into detail on why I think this QB will be cemented as a top five QB with those other players that I mentioned. And as of right now, I think he's going around like 7 or 8. People are ranking him in the 7 or 8, so he's already an elite QB. But I just want to cement the fact that he will become a top five QB this season. He will push the boundary. He will push everybody's list and make people question why they had him lower on their list. And that player is going to be Baker Mayfield on the Bucs. Now, it may sound like a casual take coming from me since Baker Mayfield is just coming off of his best season in the league so far. While the playoff success has been slight for Baker on the Bucs, the regular season success has been there. He has been an elite QB on the Bucs. But I just don't think people actually realize that. When they say they're top fives, they're top sixes, they still leave Baker out of that top five and top six. Sure, he has a lot of turnovers, which I think this year he's going to tone down, especially in this Bucks offense. The Buccaneers have an insane offense. With that, they have a top 7 O line in the league. Their defense is elite this year, which will be able to push Baker Mayfield to an upper echelon because good QBs are on good teams. Now, back to the offense point I have to make. They have two wide receiver ones. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are both solid wide receiver one options for any team, and the Bucks have them both at wide receiver one and wide receiver two. Now, Emeka Egbuka, everybody's wide receiver breakout candidate for the season. While Chris Godwin's going to be out, Emeka Egbuka is going to come in and become a star. With that, they have Bucky Irving, a solid receiving back option. Is he elite at receiving? Not really in terms of running backs. Is he a good receiving threat? Yes. Because he gets a little dump off, he's going to give you 5 yards. Not only that, he's such an efficient running back. He can set up Baker Mayfield with anything. Play action, you're scared of Bucky and Baker's rollout. Not only that, Baker has a little bit of mobility in him. He can escape the pocket. He's able to scamper for 8 to 10 yards easily if he gets out of the pocket. To keep it short and sweet, this is exactly why I think Baker will become a top five QB. I think there are a lot of people out there that have him in the top five and top six. I personally think this season is going to be the reason why everybody will have him in the top five and top six. And now moving on, hopefully to keep this video a little shorter, the best running back I believe will be Jahmyr Gibbs. And I don't think he will be the rushing leader per se, but I do think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the best running back in the league. There's obviously guys like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, which how am I supposed to bet against them? I'm not saying they're going to be bad in any way. Any player I don't mention in this video, I don't think it's going to be bad. I just think that these certain players that I'm going to mention are going to solidify themselves in the upper echelon of players, and they're going to solidify themselves as top options on their team. Now, for Jahmyr Gibbs, he was in a split backfield last season and was still putting up insane numbers coming into his second or third season. David Montgomery was obviously the starting back in both of those seasons, but now it looks like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the starter. And if Jahmyr Gibbs was doing that as the backup, what's he going to do as the true starter with David Montgomery behind him? I believe that Jahmyr Gibbs will get 60% of the snaps, and David Montgomery is probably going to get around 40%. And a lot of reports are coming out that they're putting Gibbs out at wide receiver. getting a lot of receiving back work. Jahmyr Gibbs is a top tier receiving back. He is top tier in that case. Jared Goff loves his dump offs to his tight end, to his running back, to quick hitches. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be elite in that aspect of the season. The Lions still have a top five O line with Jahmyr Gibbs running the helmet running back with top five O line talent. I think he's just going to shoot up the ranks as the season progresses. Moving on to a best wide receiver not named Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, I think there are two wide receivers that have a case to become elite next season: Xavier Worthy and Courtland Sutton. While Courtland Sutton was already in the wide receiver one position for the Broncos last season, Xavier Worthy was not the wide receiver one for the Chiefs. Now, making a quick case for both of them, Courtland Sutton already had an elite season last year with Bo Nix. Bo Nix is only progressing. In his sophomore season, he's going to become better in a Broncos offense that is going to explode next season with so many more possibilities. Going from a rookie QB who still has to kind of learn the NFL ropes and going into a sophomore QB who is already proven himself, who already knows the offense, who already knows everything. Courtland Sutton is Bo Nix's guy. And with that already being the case, Courtland Sutton is going to have an even better season with wide receiver two depth. Courtland Sutton is the very obvious wide receiver one, and there is not many other wide receivers that can make a case to be Bo Nix's guy. Now they do have Evan Ingram, who is a good receiving talent. I still personally believe Courtland Sutton is going to reproduce what he did last season and better and put himself into the top 10 of wide receivers. Now, with Xavier Worthy, it's a little different. He is in the Chiefs' offense, and the Chiefs love their speedy wide receivers. And Xavier Worthy is a speedy wide receiver, which the Chiefs have known to use effectively in their offense. With Xavier Worthy now coming into the wide receiver one position with Rashee Rice being suspended, there isn't another wide receiver on that team that Patrick Mahomes would trust as much, except for maybe like Travis Kelsey. Xavier Worthy is coming into his second season after being like the wide receiver two or wide receiver three on the Chiefs depth chart, now coming immediately into the wide receiver one, probably in that slot role that Andy Reid loves so much. He's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to get a lot of attempts. Patrick Mahomes loves to go deep on these plays. Patrick Mahomes loves to have some guy on his rollouts to be able to just dump off to. Xavier Worthy is going to be everywhere on the field next season for the Chiefs. They're going to need him if they want to win. They're going to need him to be elite if they want to win. And that's why I personally believe he's going to take a step above, probably put himself in like the top 15, solid top 15. Maybe when Rashee Rice comes back, Rashee Rice is pushed to the wide receiver too, because Xavier Worthy is just going to be that good. And I think he's just going to continuously prove to the Bills that they should not have traded that pick to the Chiefs. Now, just quickly going over to team guesses that I have. I think the best defense is going to be with the Ravens. I'm not going to second guess that. The Ravens have an elite defense. They have probably the best defense in the league, best secondary, insane pass rush, one of the best D tackles. Obviously, they still have the elite middle linebacker room. Roquan Smith, all those guys are still on that team. There's no reason to second guess that the Ravens are going to be the best in the league. Next up, best team. I think the Broncos are going to prove to everybody that they are here. The Broncos, going off of my last point with best defense, not being able to pick against the Ravens, I think the Broncos, you're just not going to be able to pick against their defense. Sean Payton is a mastermind, and that defense has so many stars. They were already elite last season with a bunch of young players. This season, the progression is going to be insane. They have a great secondary room. They have a great pass rush. They have a great run defense. With that, they have a great O line, great tight end, great wide receiver depth. There's no reason to see that this team will not be good. And with that, their schedule isn't the most difficult to win. If they start rolling, they're just going to win, 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 win. And it's just going to be nonstop for them. Now, with the next up, who will take a slide? I don't think there's many teams that are actually going to slide this season. If there's going to be one, it's going to be the Commanders. Now, I have stated I am an Eagles fan. This is not coming from a place of hate. This is coming from a place that they have a difficult schedule. Do I think they're actually going to take a slide? No. Let me repeat that for everybody watching this. Do I actually think the Commanders will take a slide? No. But if there was a team that would do it, it would be the Commanders with their difficult schedule. But I still have the Commanders around 11 to 10 win total. I can show what I think they're going to do every week. I still have them at 11 wins. I do not think they're actually going to take a slide. They lost a couple key defensive players. Obviously, their offense is still their offense. Jaden Daniels is still there. I think they're still going to be good. I do not believe they're actually going to take a slide. But if there was a team that was going to, it would be the Commanders. Now, who do I think will solidify themselves as a top team? There's a lot of teams that are hungry this season. Obviously, the Titans just got Cam Ward. The Raiders just traded for Geno, got Ashton Genty. There's a lot of quiet teams that I think will be good. Now, I'm a big believer in the Cardinals and the Panthers, but there's another team that I really want to look at who has an easier schedule, and I think will be around the 7 or 6 seed in the AFC. I believe that the Patriots are going to make a case to be a playoff team this season. Drake May is going to progress. He just sat behind Tyrod Taylor for a little bit, and now he's coming into an offense that is all his. Stephon Diggs just came to this team. They just got some insane rookies. They got the O-line from the offensive tackle from LSU. The defense is still obviously insane. Mike Vrabel is also a mastermind. I don't see this team being bad, like bad in the not objective way where they're just not good. I think the Patriots will be able to prove themselves to be a playoff team this season. Now, let's look at my award predictions. Starting off easy, comeback player of the year. There's really three players that are going to win this. JJ McCarthy's going to win, Aiden Hutchinson's going to come in second, Christian McCaffrey's going to come in third. JJ McCarthy is obviously a QB coming into his sophomore season after tearing his meniscus, I believe, in preseason. Hasn't played a single snap. Why do I have him winning with if that's the case? Do I think he's going to be super elite? No. But do I think they're going to take the QB over the defensive player and Christian McCaffrey? I believe. Could I be wrong? 100%. Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a great season. Christian McCaffrey is coming off of a bad injury. People are already writing him off as being old and washed. All he has to do is have a good season to be in comeback player of the year race. Same with Aiden Hutchinson. Do I think they like to tend to QBs? I do. I think JJ McCarthy is going to have less than 7 interceptions, maybe around 7 or 8. I believe that he's going to have around 3,000 yards. He's just going to be a great winning QB. And that's why I believe he'd be comeback player of the year. Moving on to offensive rookie of the year, my pick is going to be Matthew Golden, but I could also see Jahmyr Merritt making a case, Ted McMillan making a case, and Caleb Johnson making a case. Those are four players that I mentioned. While there's other players I still believe in, I'm not saying by not picking someone that they're not going to be good. I just think these four are going to prove themselves over the rest. Ted McMillan, first wide receiver taken. The Panthers are they're going to be good this season. I think they're going to be around 7 wins this season. While I say they're good and then I say 7 wins, I still think that's going to be good for what this Panthers roster is. Matthew Golden is going to be the wide receiver one on that Packers team, and he's just going to slip right into that team. Jordan Love needs a wide receiver. It's an easy pick. Jahmyr Merritt, I'm not going to go into detail because I already have a 17-minute video on him. So if you want to go figure out why I think he's going to be good, watch that video. I'll put it in the description. And then Caleb Johnson was so good at Iowa. 21 touchdowns with 1,500 yards. And he was a junior, I believe. It's an obvious pick. The Steelers are going to need to run the ball next season. And I think he's going to get it done. Now, moving on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, let's just make this simple. Abdul Carter. The Giants' D-line is so good. with Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. They also have Kayvon Thibodeau, who I think is going to be pretty good next season for them. With that D line, who are you picking to guard? Seriously, you're not picking to guard Abdul Carter, the rookie. I think Abdul Carter is going to have first 6 weeks hot, maybe a sack, could possibly be a sack a game. He's coming into the best situation for a defensive player. Now, I also think Mason Graham and Jahad Campbell are going to prove themselves. I don't want to go too into detail because I'm not the biggest nerd when it comes to defense. I can only just guess that they're going to be good, which I think they will be. I just think Abdul Carter is going to be like a tier above everybody else. Now, moving on to Coach of the Year, I think Sean Payton, because I think they're going to be the best team. I think he's going to prove why he was so good on the Saints. He doesn't need Drew Brees, he needs Bo Nix. And I think he's going to prove to be Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel and Matt LaFleur are also going to prove themselves, I believe. Mike Vrabel on the Patriots, again, looking back at another one of my picks, I think the Patriots are going to be good. I don't think many people are predicting to be the Patriots as high as I am, which if they make the playoffs, I think Mike Vrabel is going to be Coach of the Year. Matt LaFleur, that defense is so insane on the Packers. There's no reason to think he wouldn't be Coach of the Year if they are elite. Well, to continue speeding through this, let's look at Defensive Player of the Year. I only have two picks. I have Micah Parsons as who I think will be Defensive Player of the Year, and then Kyle Hamilton, who I think will be a runner up. Like I just said, that Packers defense is going to be insane. Put Micah Parsons on that defense, it's you're not going to be able to do anything against them. And again, I already have a huge video on Micah Parsons. I don't want to go too into detail on it. So with Kyle Hamilton, he's probably one of the best safeties in the league currently. Probably is the best safety in the league. I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to talk too in depth about it. He's on that Ravens defense, who I also think is going to be so good. And I think he's going to be the play caller on that defense. I think he's going to be the captain. I think he's going to be the leader to prove that that Ravens defense is hungry. They're here. They're ready for the playoffs. All you got to hope is that things go right because the Ravens seem to be very unlucky when it comes to the playoffs. Moving on to Offensive Player of the Year, I have three picks. And I think the winner is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I said, receiving threat and a running threat. That's literally just Christian McCaffrey's 2019 season. And I know I said I'm not going to pick big name guys. I already have. So Jamar Chase, I mean, it's Jamar Chase. He's going to be good. He's going to prove that he's still the best wide receiver in the league. And then my third pick, I have Baker Mayfield at QB. Before I even go over my MVP picks, Baker Mayfield is not going to be in the top three of MVP. Why do I say that, and why do I have him as Offensive Player of the Year pick? He's going to have so many yards next season, so many touchdowns, so many rushing yards, but I don't think he's going to be on the winning side of MVP because I think next season for MVP, they're going to try and do a Josh Allen Lamar type of thing last season where it's the most winning QBs. Should Joe Burrow have won it last season? I'm not going to get into that conversation because there's a lot to talk about. He didn't make the playoffs, but he had great stats. I just think it's going to be another one of those situations. Are the Bucs going to make the playoffs? Yes. Is Baker Mayfield going to be disrespected by the media? Yes. Is he going to be good? Yes. I'm not questioning that. I still think he's going to be elite top 5 QB. I'm just going to have to show you who my MVP picks are for you to believe what I'm saying. Which I'm going to go one by one. At number 3, I have Jalen Hurts. Eagles fan. Sure. The Eagles are going to be a winning team next season. They 100% are. I think they're going to be around 12 wins. I don't have them at too high because we have a difficult schedule. I say we like I'm on the team. But defense is very good, obviously. That doesn't go into MVP, kind of. I mean, but Jalen Hurts is going to be insane on the ground next season. He's going to be very efficient in the air. I think they're going to give it to someone else, but I think he's going to be top three. Second, I think Jaden Daniels. Again, like I said, not a hater on the Commanders. I think they're going to be really good next season. I think Jaden Daniels going into a sophomore season will not have a sophomore slump in the NFL. I don't think people have figured him out yet. He's so good on the ground. He's so efficient when throwing. He always makes the right read. I don't think there's going to be any reason that he wouldn't be in MVP talks. Will I think he win it? No. Do I think he can? Yes. And then finally, who's my pick for MVP? Josh Allen or Lamar. I like. I just think one of them's going to go back to back, or not. Well, Lamar can't go back to back, but I think one of them will win it again. The Ravens are going to be good, and the Bills are going to be good. Why would I think either of them wouldn't win MVP? I don't know, man. I always say I want to be different, but there's no reason to be different with that. They're going to be good. Now, if you want to argue with anything I've said in this video, go down to the comments and tell me. Because if you think I'm a casual, let's have a conversation. These are my picks, and I'm going to stand by them until they play like shit week one, and then I will come back crying and say I was wrong. But hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you think I was smart. Hope you don't think I was dumb.